Gigadick and run away.
That was the first word that was said on our live stream. Hashtag Gigadick. Holy crap.
Cylon stream electric giga.
Lucky us.
No.
Oh my God.
So
Where's my
there's some
volume?
warnings. But it's okay. We've said far worse on this channel before. How is everyone doing tonight? I hope you don't get the wrong impression. We are just trying to have a good time, and this is my fault because I made a horrible joke pre-stream that is just going to permeate for eons. So we'll get with this Battlestar Galactica spoiler-free rewatch with first-time panelist. I am Johnny B. Crazy. Welcome to the Cylon Johnson Jills. This is season 2, episode 13, Epiphanies. That's right, I said it. Big word, Epiphanies. And we have a few of them here. John St. Baptiste is our resident co-host slash expert while I sit here and flounder. But with that, I will introduce everyone, starting with the beautiful lady, John St. Baptiste. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well tonight. Thank you for asking. Yes, I'm a beautiful lady. I'm probably also a verbal slip-up that you made in another stream today. This is a big episode. I'm glad we're starting it off laughing and having fun because this is a really serious episode with a lot of really serious ramifications. It kind of a lot of episodes hit you in the feels, but I would say this one hits you in the thinks. So I'm really excited to discuss it.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. You have some good questions in a little bit for these chills, but we're having a new format tonight too. We might be organized. I don't know. I don't have as many notes as Amy with that. Amy, True, how are you doing tonight? I heard that you went somewhere and you had some type of fun. Are you blistered?
No, my ears are ringing a little bit though because I've been to a very, very loud gig. I haven't really slept since I got back and I'm a little bit tipsy, so silliness will probably ensue.
Well, you look great. You don't look like you've lost sleep. Me, I look like I need to take a nap for a long time. Johnny be needing to go away for a while.
It's because I've still got a full face of makeup on. It stops me looking that tired.
Well, you'll have to throw me some tips sometime.
I'll send you some false eyelashes.
Yes, I don't even know. Clarissa Thompson, what's going on? Most unfortunate way to start this, but I am the Gigadick Master. I am the one that said this in the beginning. We were talking about Tech Boy having insecurities, and I told him that the Gigadick was coming for him. So with that, and things a little bit more in context, I don't think I look any better, but maybe you do, Clarissa. How's it going tonight?
I'm doing really good. I don't have Gigadicks to deal with myself, but I know who to call if it ever comes up. And I'd just like everybody to say fond farewell to the Canadian flag because there'll be a new roommate in this room next week, so I won't be in here doing live streams.
So there'll be like from Half Baked, a dude on the couch in your live streams. Just have him in the back, just laying there.
It'll be the dude on the Canadian flag.
No, dude, we gotta give him a room. He's got a car.
Oh yeah, so you gotta take that opportunity, eh? Thank you so much, Clarissa, for coming on. Amy, True, you as well. Mackenzie L. Burns, aka Sasa, aka Red Hair. I don't know where that came from. That was just a very lame nickname, but I'm trying to make myself look pretty bad because I started the stream off jacked up. I set traps for everyone. How's it going? Mackenzie. Clarissa's going to kill me later. Randy's coming.
Oh, no. Randy's coming after you. I'm doing fine. Today, it was pretty good. But yeah, we got to talk about a pretty serious episode, but it gets resolved somewhat in the end, so why not? And it's happy to spend my Fridays with all of you lovely people here on the panel and in the chat with who happens to be Bobby. Bobby's not here today.
That's right. And with your host, the shell of the man, me, I just sit here like a empty, hollowed out raider, waiting to be filled with some sort of pilot. Um, I'm trying to make up for some stuff from earlier.
Totally wondered
but-
what you were going to say you wanted to be filled with then.
So I will give the little summary of the episode, and then we'll start off with the expert message of the week. First, let's give a shout out to some folks in the chat. And this shouldn't take long. Our Red Sox fan, Catherine Harding and Bobby Catalano. What's up, my friends? Thank you so much for popping by. Yes, share this out. Get people watching because we're fun. Come on, come hang out and have fun with us. So, Admiral Adama questions whether or not Sharon's pregnancy is, I guess, should be aborted. He looks at it in an odd way. We have Rosalind's health just going downhill rapidly. It's very hard to watch. And then on top of it, you have a pro-Cylon rebellious group who is just basically scattered within the fleet. So you're getting even more paranoia on top of paranoia. Everybody remember, hashtags win the day, hashtag tooting the 10, and we already have 3 winners. So, but we will talk about that later. Right now, expert message of the week. What do you want them going in looking at, John? Is there anything you would like to throw out there? And then, any PSAs or whatnot that you have, my friend.
I would say going into this episode, one has to ask oneself, is the cost of life life? Is the cost of life death? Is the cost of death life? Or is the cost of death death? And that's my big, deep thought for this week.
And if I were you and you were me, I would use your body to get to the top. With that, Mackenzie L. Burns, what's your initial thoughts of the episode?
I'd say that it's a pretty emotional episode, and it's also making hard choices and difficult decisions, but it kind of works out in the end. Like we make bad decisions, but sometimes the bad decisions become good decisions, and kind of work out in the end.
Good point. Clarissa, your initial thoughts? Maybe just like a holy poop moment,
Sorry, I was like, "Where's my button? Why is it not
That's
coming
that
up?"
dude on the bed back there.
So my initial thoughts on this episode was that it was nice again to have that insight into Rosalind's past, and more specifically, not just about the cancer, but about her life in politics and her work. And I think that this is a real Baltar focused episode. I think that we sort of get absorbed into his twisty ideas, and it doesn't always make sense what's going on with him, but that's kind of what makes that storyline fun. So,
well, maybe we can make sense of it tonight. Baltar he has some juiciness, some juicy drama around him. Amy True, if you had to give like a initial first statement, what would it be about this episode? That's a better way to put it, right?
Yeah. I agree with Clarissa about it's. I quite enjoy seeing the Baltar storyline this episode. He's a bit of a change to his character, kind of not thinking about himself as much as usual, and actually having some consideration for other people. So yeah, it was an interesting one, and the Rosalind flashbacks were quite intriguing. I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more about what she saw in those in the next episode.
With that, that's a perfect segue. We start, we're going to start this with the Rosalind flashbacks, her going back and forth, talking with President. Oh, shit. His name's slipping my mind, John.
Adar.
Adar. I was going to say Adara. I was like, no, that's a germ character. But then, we're having the flash forwards. We're having the flash forwards and flashbacks. Rosalind has seemingly had this horrible, quick decline. And like her dying decree is that the baby should be terminated. And after this, we have Coddle and Adama bringing their thoughts forward, but we will stop there. And I will start with you, Amy True, since you're the one that said something about it first. You win this time.
So you want me to just kind of cover the first scene with Rosalind, or are we going to go for the kind of the whole?
You can go into it up until till she starts to go out. You know what I mean?
Okay. So according to Cottle, she's dying and she knows it. She's also declined pain relief. I think he calls it morpha, which obviously sounds like morphine. You can see how much she's deteriorated when she's on the stretcher and being wheeled down the corridor. She's not really with it, and she keeps having these flashbacks. She appears to be struggling to breathe as well, so it implies that the cancer has spread to her lungs. And she the flashbacks that she has, it's amazing how much younger she looks. I don't know if anybody else noticed, it said it was 189 days ago on Caprica, which isn't really that long, and she looks so much younger in that scene. And obviously it's the way that it's filmed and makeup and stuff, but it just kind of shows how ill she is, like how much it's aged her. And it's the first flashback. She sees Baltar and Six in the background, which becomes a bit more significant later because that's a recurring theme. And she has called Adama, Baltar, and Billy to her hospital bed. And as she's coming around from the flashback, she's saying, "Don't talk about me as if I'm not here." She says, "You'll have plenty of time for that soon enough." She's very much accepted that kind of this is it, I think, and she knows she's on her way out. So yeah.
Is there a question you would like to pose to Clarissa and Kinsey? Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Who wants to go first? Find that button. Clarissa is fast. She's trying. She's working on it. Punch it.
Ta-da!
There you go.
There we go. The first time that I watched it, I thought, oh, she's sick, she's having memory flashbacks. But then I started giving some thought about how she's been on the Kamala all this time and how she has been having what basically equal prophetic visions. So I was wondering if to a certain degree, if she isn't just remembering these things, but seeing them from the same point of view as she had been seeing earlier prophetic visions through her use of Kamala and all the stuff with the arrow of Apollo and whatnot. Which is why she's able to recognize Baltar in her memory, because she's looking at it as an observer, like it's a vision rather than having just a recall of events. So
almost like a fever dream, huh? But even more vivid, right?
And more so because almost like on a spiritual level. So I'm wondering if that is a factor in this portion of the storyline. Well, what do you guys think? Do you think that it's just memories, or do you guys think that they're prophetic visions that are being brought to her by some
I don't know. What do you
powers?
think, Salsa? I can't say.
You can kind of. It's the fact that she focuses when she's talking to somebody else. It's that her eyes almost kind of wander towards Baltar, especially when he's with another version of Six, or just the Caprica Six, I guess you could say. And I don't know, because it's that weird thing of when she kind of gets out of this state, she wants to have the baby killed, and we know that connection with the baby and Baltar, supposedly, because it's Baltar's kid that he's supposed to help raise or whatever. So it's, I don't know, or maybe it could be the thing that her visions were kind of leading to him, because he'd be the one person to figure out how she can kind of have her cancer resolved, in a sense, because they tried to figure it out, Cotto, and like we can get to it later, but it's like if you would just rely solely on Coddle, she would have died.
You can touch on Rosalind and Baltar, though, I think, with this a little more, and we can kind of get completely into that. And we'll talk completely about Baltar in the next segment. But with that decision with Baltar, also, John has a key question about Rosalind for this and the decision she made. So go ahead.
But before that, it's just also with this having to have the flashbacks. It's not it's one of those situations that you're like, we're kind of thankful that we kind of get a backstory for Rosalind, because yes, we know that she was the Secretary of Education, and then through the Cylon attack, that's how she became president. But it's the fact of her having being told by a different doctor that she had cancer before and that it already had spread, and learning all that other stuff, and then seeing Baltar, it's like, what position did Baltar hold that was so close? I can't remember exactly if they mentioned it in the episode, but it's like the closeness that he had to where the president of, I guess, the colonies was, or whatever. And that, because why is she seeing him if he's not like in the government? Because he's just like a doctor. That's kind of...
Well, he's a scientist. Don't they establish in the miniseries in the beginning? Isn't he consulting for something? I remember that set.
They don't even need us, John. They're figuring it out on their own.
So this is what I'm wondering, though, is like the whole baby thing. Do we have any information about what the scrolls of Pythia and stuff say about a coming child or anything? Because Rosalind is pored over that book. So is there something that we're forgetting has already been revealed about the baby, or have they even mentioned it in relation to prophecy?
I don't remember them talking about a child. It's just that she was supposed to lead them to Earth, and then she was supposed to die.
And then the only reason I was thinking of it is because
it means they're not going to Earth anytime soon, because she's escaped death. So they're not coming to Earth anytime soon.
Hey, John, before you pull that mustache out, go ahead. I see you.
And he's just smiling in the corner.
The Scrolls of Pythia do not say anything about a child being.
Okay.
As far as we've gone.
Right.
As far as our knowledge of them is. But they do say very predominantly that a dying leader will lead the people to Earth.
Yeah, she was dying.
And
not dying anymore. For now.
You could
make it
according to the want to use. Like we've all been dying since the day we were born.
Yeah, technically right, John.
That's a cheery thought.
The prophecy says that the leader won't make it. The leader is dying, but it doesn't say that the leader's going to die necessarily. What you think,
Yeah,
I guess.
but they would
But
die on the planet that they're looking for.
there could be another sick leader. Maybe she's just all up in your face, and there's another sick leader waiting to take over.
Yeah.
Watch it's Tom Selleck just sitting in the corner.
I was going to say it could be Tom Selleck and he might have fatal nanolon.
Or we have a vice president who's
Mentally sick in the head. Dun, dun, dun.
Does it say that they have a sickness or an illness? I mean, could it just be like there could be somebody else that's leading at the time, and they could just be injured or something and slowly dying from an injury or infection? It doesn't have
a dying leader, which prophecy. There's a great quote in Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin about prophecy. That I really like because it tells the truth about what prophecy is, but it's just a dying leader will lead you to Earth. If you look at legends and things like that involve it's always ambiguous. So I think that you can play with the ambiguity there.
Prophecies are a fickle beast. Amy, would you like to bounce anything off of that? And what are your thoughts? What are the connotations of her seeing Baltar in those dreams? What's going to come of that, if anything?
Yeah, it's interesting that what Clarissa was saying is she actually remembering, or is it part of some sort of vision? It's difficult to say. It could just be that they were there at the time, and in her current state, she's remembering things in greater detail and able to sort of recall details that she hadn't really registered at the time. Because she wouldn't have had any reason to at the time. They were just other faces in the crowd. And now when she's kind of revisiting that moment, she's suddenly gone, hang on a minute. There was something familiar there. And in the sort of last scene with her and Boltarin together, sort of when she's recovering as such, she looks genuinely terrified when she sees him. She actually cowers away from him, so she's definitely made some sort of connection there. When Billy gave Baltar the little tour of the sort of the presidential office, there was a file of known Cylon agents that he looked at, and there was a picture of 6 there. So not only has Rosalind kind of recognised that Baltar was there, she's recognised that he was there with a known Cylon agent. So is she going to be scared that he is a Cylon? Is it going to be that he's working with the Cylons? And possibly from the last episode, maybe this is foreshadowing that he is going to be trying to bring down the government with a Cylon or a Cylon agent. Which is what she was seeing at the time is like a future vision kind of mingled in with her memories.
That's a good point. You make a great point. At the bare minimum, he's compromised, right? You would think that's at the bare minimum in her thoughts. And we'll keep going a little bit with Rosalind. I want y'all to touch on that as well. But with that too, yeah, just touch on that, Clarissa and Kenzie. Sorry.
Yeah, the one part that's kind of like a whoa situation is when Rosalind wakes up and shares like the Cylon, her baby has to be terminated for the safety of the fleet, and that's like her dying wish. And that I can't remember if it's Baltar or somebody's like talking about like her power. And it's like that's what happens when you're the president. No one gets to question your stance or your opinions, and it's just like but one thing that I wrote was that I'm not surprised that Rosalind wanted to ensure the survival of the fleet if she was to die by wanting the death of Sharon's baby, because that's kind of ammunition that for the Cylons to show up if there is a half human, half Cylon humanoid model. Like they could be like, "This is a special being. Let's go attack." And if the ship is in mourning because of her death, could they be more susceptible to things like that? Even though Sharon did tap into, I guess, the Cylon realm or whatever and saved the ship, but
Yeah, with that kind of too. What are the connotations of this decision she made or attempted to make here? She on her dying decree was. Yeah, John, I want you to ask that question.
sorry, I didn't hear anything that you said. Oh, Paul.
Oh,
I dropped.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, John.
It is so the last thing, or what Laura thinks is going to be the last thing that she does as president is enact this order that this pregnancy is terminated. Like we see it all the time in America, like presidents on their way out pardon people, like all over the place. You know, because there are no ramifications, there are no, like, does this make you think that Laura is a little more gray of a character than we've thought of her as?
Very fair question. Go ahead, Clarissa. You unmuted, so you win.
I doubt her mindset on this. I think it's a bad call on her part, and I think that her mind is on the cancer, and I think she's viewing the child as a cancer. And really, I really want to know more so, not just Rosalind's motivations for this, but what was the motivation for Dr. Cottle to bring it up in the first place? Like, seriously, so there's this hybrid between humans and Cylons, and its blood is weird. We should kill it. Like, it seemed really thin.
We'll
There
get
didn't seem
deep
to be
into that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's for us, it makes you wonder, is there a missing piece? Like, what is it about the blood that made him suspect that this was dangerous?
Well,
or did he suspect that it was dangerous?
I think he was just pointing out the anomaly as a doctor. I don't think he really said, like, oh, hey, we should get terminated, because if you watch the scene, like, he looks very disturbed that this decision has been made.
He doesn't protest, and he's not known to be a character to keep his mouth shut when he thinks something. So
yeah, that's fair. Don't get too deep into the blood yet, except for maybe where as far as Rosalind's concerned, but that is a really good point, and I'll make sure that we have that, because we're going to get all up in that blood at the end of this. Amy, mainly thoughts on Rosalind with that decision, and then we'll get into everybody else's part in that crazy decision. What did you feel about it? I mean, and how do you feel about it? I know at this point they're really humanizing the Cylons, right? The Cylon's more human than human, I think. Right, John?
It was I was very surprised that that's the decision that she's come to. You know, she mentions the Cylon baby, and you think she's going to say something positive, and then she's like, it needs to be terminated. How is that her decision to make? You know, it's one of the it's kind of difficult to imagine the difference in how they consider the Cylons to not have any sort of rights or autonomy. It's and it kind of reflects on an actual real world issue that, you know, nobody else should have the right over somebody else's body to choose what happens to it, especially if it's not just her. You know, they're talking about sort of the life of the baby, and the baby's not a Cylon. It is part human, and you can't imagine them saying that about a human on board the fleet. No, sorry, we're going to terminate your pregnancy with no input, not even telling her. It just wouldn't happen. So and you say about they've been humanising the Cylons more. So for someone to kind of come along and go, yeah, we're just gonna kill your baby, it's horrible, and it just makes you think of Rosalind, like, what a fucking bitch. it's one of those things where it's like, that's fucking awful. You just can't even do that. And later on as well, it's the first time we actually see Sharon with a proper baby bump. I think they've done that deliberately to kind of you know, push the issue more that you know there is this little life growing, and it's not just it's not at the stage of it's just a ball of cells kind of thing. It is like a baby at this point, and it probably makes people think quite a lot. It's a very emotive subject.
That's true. With that though, I would make it a really good point to leave y'all to end up this segment. I think that works out perfect because, you know, Adama and Coddle, you kind of touched on Coddle. They bring forth their ideas. Adama is completely ride or die with this. He doesn't question it whatsoever. What are your thoughts on that, Kenzie? If you're there, Sasa. Okay, Sasa's internet. Cylon's got you. No, there you are.
It's yeah, like kind of along those lines. It's like, but it makes you wonder why she brought up the termination inside of like her dying wishes. In a sense, it's like of all the things she could have said, it's just to terminate the Cylon baby, which is kind of what Sharon brings up. It's like, why now? Why couldn't they have done this when they figured out that I was pregnant? Like all of this stuff. It's like it is kind of a precarious question of why do it now, and I think this is also too when Adama's like, but what did the blood work say? And it's like there's nothing, or like there was nothing there, or whatever, to make it like suspicious, because the Baltar with blood thing kind of carries into the next stuff we're going to talk about, and into the end, because it's getting more and more clues about it. So I don't know, and just the fact that it's the one thing she kind of says when she wakes up is just deal with the Cylon baby and the Cylon, and we'll kind of see what happens. And Billy's back, Bobby, if you're still here. Billy's in the scene, and it's kind of funny when she's like, push my bed to make me sit up, and then yeah, Rosalind's has more strength. And
True. That's a good point. What do you think about? How'd you feel about Adama? Did you think that was just he was going to be on board with that regardless? I mean, he seemed. I don't know. There may be some points of contention there to where he seemed like he was regretting. I'm trying to see where y'all feel about that.
I think with Adama, it's probably hard for him to because he's obviously trying to establish trust and some sort of relationship with Sharon, and to kind of take her child away from her is probably not the best thing. But even Rosalind's like, Admiral, like act like you're a freaking admiral, like because he's still kind of acting like he's just a commander and not really like an admiral. It's like, you have all of this power now and you're not using it to the fullest extent, and it's just like, fine, I'll do what I have to do, but I don't like it at the same time. Like, and when he obviously has to go talk to Hilo about it, and Hilo kind of like freaks out at him about it. It's like, but he's like, this is my honey's last want, and it's like, because Bill and Laura are, I guess, officially together. So
Hashtag La Dama.
hashtag Ladama Mama.
Yeah, I mean, when Adama talks to Hilo, like, he doesn't like this.
No, because
Well,
He wants to
that's
get a
an
bad taste out of his mouth, like saying it. You can tell. Which actor chops for this week are definitely on Edward James Olmos.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, John, that's a good segue to the second segment. But before I do that, does anyone else have anything they want to say? I see you slowly unmuting, Amy. Go ahead, Kenzie.
Oh, I just thought that it's like Amy said earlier. It's kind of crazy that it's only been 189 days, and also we forgot to talk about the number that was on the board or in the title sequence.
49,598.
So we lost. What was I can't do math right now, but we lost a few people in the last episode. So not just Admiral Asshole. A few other people died. Like, I think it was the random Marine also died, and some other people. So
y'all are doing good on the test tonight. I'm letting y'all wonder, and y'all are finding your way back. Just fantastic. I'm delighted.
So if I want to go to the next part.
Yeah, Amy, I saw you slowly unmuting. Go ahead.
It was 6 people. 6 people have gone since the last episode. I was just double checking in my notes.
My goodness, would you like to give a couple of snaps with it? It was 6 people.
I was just trying to do maths when you've been drinking. It's just silly. But yeah, it was just 6 people have died since the last one. That was all I was intending to contribute at this point.
What do you mean, what am I talking about, Bobby? You have to give me some context with that question. I said so many things. While Bobby's giving me context, I will set up the second segment. It's something John touched on. We have Hilo getting the news, but Starbuck and Kat go back. They're having the problems. We find out it's been sabotage. Apollo is going around and comes in contact with is it a civilian crew member, John? Right? One of the person on the assembly line making the ammo, right?
It was a civilian turned crew member. Yeah,
don't
you get sassy with me.
They were running out of people to help Tyrell.
Kind of like a kinder, gentler Kane conscription.
Okay.
Would you like to join the military? Would you like to come work for the military? As opposed to head against a bulkhead.
Apollo and Starbuck have some conversation. I know y'all got something on that. And then, like I said, Hilo finds out about the plan, and then Baltar talks to the 6 in his head and, meets with Prison 6, goes over #baby safety, right, Sosa?
Yeah.
And with that, we'll talk about everything until we get to the blood. Oh, go ahead.
Well, yeah, they talk about baby safety, but when they're talking about the Raptor, I figured they'd have obviously because this is what they always do with BSG. They have a really big problem, but then they also have a really small problem, and the really small problem was the Raptors having problems kind of set up by the kind of the Cylon sympathizers, and how because they have to have new people help with the Raptures, that the stuff is going to happen.
Big picture, that might be the bigger problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, well, because that's like the minor for this episode specifically, that's like the minor problem. These are like the minor scenes. Like the bigger scene was just like because Laura was such a big
No,
focus.
I know where you're going. I was just giving you shit, Kenzie. I gotta do
And-
that once in a while.
Yeah, and kind of with just I'll just touch on the Apollo scene because it's kind of quick. It's they're still like talking and stuff. So they kind of talk about what happened in the last episode and whether he kind of feels the same way as obviously what left off, and it's just kind of like a touchy subject for them still, but they're trying to like Starbucks trying to like poke the bear, but not like try and make him go the opposite direction. Yeah. I guess because we were talking about like the Starbuck and Apollo stuff until then, but yeah, they find out with that it's like the sympathizer is up to no good, which is never the best.
Julianne says they have a lot of similar whiny looking troublemakers, would you? Brunette troublemakers to be specific.
Yeah, there is a lot of female crew members for like the repairs that all look the same, like Callie, the other girl that was on Cobalt, and we haven't seen her in a while. Did she die or something?
No, she's a med, isn't she? She's probably working with Coddle.
The one that was on, I can't remember now.
Are you talking about the medic, or are you talking about racetrack?
The one.
The one that was on the planet with Baltar and Tyrell and
Yeah, that was racetrack.
yeah.
We've seen
No.
racetrack many times.
Racetrack wasn't on Cobalt with them.
Yeah, it
was the medic girl.
Yeah, then I thought there was the other one that was on the crew with Callie, but I could be wrong.
The medic girl was not on Cobalt.
Then there was somebody because there was two girls. I know that.
She's the one who had to operate on Adama. She was on the ship. And by the way, she happens to be in the real world Jamie Amber's wife.
Because there was two girls on the surface of Cobalt, and then there was three. Because there was the one that was caring for the guy that was dying from.
That was racetrack.
Yeah, and then there was another one.
It wasn't racetrack.
I'll bet you pennies.
But anyways, yeah, we haven't seen her in a while, so yeah, there is a lot. Anyways, we're talking in circles about brunettes on this show.
Yeah, well, you better pull a tenfold theory out of that. Ha!
It was just we haven't seen that one character in a while. Like we haven't seen Ellen Ty in like 7 episodes. No.
Yeah, and do you really want to see her? I mean, come on. Yeah, y'all got anything on that? Where did we leave off? Kind of a little more talking about the ammunition. Yeah, what are the Clarissa? How do you feel about that? This ammunition has seemingly been like this for a while. This isn't a new problem. They've just gotten extremely lucky up until this point, right? Maybe.
I don't know if it wouldn't have been a problem for a while. Like, one would imagine the sabotage was recent, or else they would have had an accident sooner.
Well,
did they have
said
an accident sooner?
Well, they haven't. It didn't just happen. I don't know if I'll get into any more than that. They touch on that this has already happened. We just haven't, we've just gotten lucky.
That maybe there has been subversive activity happening, but it may not have presented itself so completely and obviously. This is the first obvious sign of sabotage that they found. I mean, like the whole series started on sabotage with Boomer being placed on Galactica in the first place, and episodes like Water and 33. So yeah, I mean, maybe the civilians had something to do with it right from the beginning. Maybe it wasn't always the sabotage of the enemy. Maybe it was the enemy within. So I thought it was interesting how they brought Kat into it because she's razzing Starbuck about having been late. And like Kat's constantly this, banging heads with authority figures. It makes me wonder where it's going to go for her. I'm interested in seeing if they develop that at all. But yeah, but when the gun explodes, the first thing that I thought was like there had been. See, I thought that they had probably brought in civilian labor and that maybe they weren't skilled enough until they come in and they inspect the ammo and they say that it's sabotage. But I thought it interesting when she makes her outburst when they apprehend her, when they find her and apprehend her. That I was thinking about what Starbuck had said in the previous episode at Kane's funeral about how if she had lived, she thinks that they would be safer. And as awful as we know that Kane was with the civilian population in her own fleet, she didn't have to deal with a bunch of people rebelling against her either. She clamped down and stripped them down with nothing. They didn't have anything to rebel with. She held all the cards. So
she even took the soap.
My favorite quote of the episode. I'm sorry, I'm breaking it. So much for being discreet.
Mm-hmm. But as soon as they went to see her and she started screaming out about this the movement and all we want is peace, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, Kane wouldn't have had to deal with any of that from any of the civilians who came to work for her. Because yeah, she was brutal, effective, but brutal.
Amy, you go ahead and pick up where you want to. Chime in. Give us a drunken I want to hear a song, right?
Fuck, am I singing? It'll start raining.
That's the answer I wanted. Yes.
Obviously, you didn't really want me to sing. You wanted me to tell you to piss off.
No, yeah, I wanted that awesome personality to shine.
Okay. I can read you the little speech that the crazy lady made.
Do it.
If you want me to, because I wrote it down. So she says, I have a message for your father. They may take me, but I'm one of many. We have declared war against Galactica's army of death. Cylons aren't our true enemy. It's the military that refuses to negotiate. All we want is peace. And she's fucking hysterical when she's saying it. She's absolutely. She doesn't do their cause any favors, I would say. You can't talk about the Galactica having an army of death and then actually try to kill people yourselves. It's a bit hypocritical, to say the least. I want peace, so I'm going to blow people up. It comes across as a bit stupid, really. And the fact that she just got found out straight away, it's like they hadn't made any attempt to cover their tracks or anything. I think it's not very well planned out on the part of the Cylon sympathizers. And from what we see later on, it seems that Prison 6 is perhaps the one that's behind the movement as a whole. And she says they don't know she's a Cylon. So it makes me wonder what it is that has made this group actually think that the Cylons do want peace, because they certainly haven't given any indication of that so far. Look at when they sent the Centurions on board the Galactica and stuff. They've tried to take the ship over with the virus. It's like, I'm intrigued to find out how they've come to this conclusion that the Cylons aren't bad.
Yeah, we have Randy's brother in the chat. What's up, Nathan Thompson? How's it going? So I saw or Clarissa, I don't know if you've stepped away. Do y'all have anything to add to that?
The Cylon sympathizer. Let's see. Might have made a note on that. Oh yeah. The fact that they have the Cylon sympathizer, is just kind of obviously that was a thing that was going to happen. And sorry, it's weird
okay.
because they obviously go and contact the silent sympathizer and how they have to deal with them, because they look through the woman's records and say that she's had no known no known run-ins with the military or like any police work. So it's not like she's been an activist for the Cylons for a while. Like, she's probably just a recently recruited, you could say, Cylon sympathizer. And it obviously leads them to Raymond or Raman Yahi, who basically is just like, I get to do whatever I want, but he kind of looks like a weird preacher person. So you're just kind of like, what?
He's the last yogi left in existence. I could barely get that out with a straight face.
Oh, Jesus. And yeah, because even Ty is just like, what are these fracking people doing here? Again, it kind of sets my Ty as a Cylon radar off a little bit more. Even though he's probably a model that doesn't know he is. So, just the fact of like him always like, he's just always so weird when it comes to talking about the Cylons. It's just gets me thinking all the time. And it's like either something close to them or it's like doing something that's justice for like the humans, but it's like affects the Cylons. He's just like, why do we want to do this? Or you have to over explain it to him in a sense. But yeah, it's kind of my weird thing about the Cylon sympathizers. And then just Yahi is just like, let me do what I want to do. He's like a yogi or a hippie, but
And then between that, he's like, downward dog pose.
and then the pamphlet of like, I want to crush Adama's command. Start with Adama. It's like, is there a checklist that comes with this pamphlet? It's like, first let the Sat try to take out Adama. Well, that didn't work, so let's do something else.
And Bobby, stop putting Jenny's number in the chat. Clarissa Thompson, what's going on? I see you there. Randy. What's
Yes. I was.
Let me bring you back into the fold.
Bring me back into the fold, yo.
All right. So we're basically into the sympathizers. We talked about Apollo and Starbuck and their little conversation. Hilo finds out about the plan here as well. And then you have Baltar and his conversations with the six in his head, #baby safety, and then also Prison Six, whom we may have or may have not gotten the name yet. Me and John really need to look into this because we know the name and it's so hard for us not to say it. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, I mean, they'll probably give her a name soon. I was expecting them to have given her a name by today. Or but by this episode. By today. But, yeah. Roy and Yanhee, I can totally see where you guys are saying he looks like he's a guru or something. Like, when he first came onto the ship and he was saying, "Oh well, I can't speak for the decision makers and such," I was right from the beginning. I was like, baloney. That dude is probably a high up, an uppity up, and he's just talking smack. He's just there to posture. So of course Adama takes him into custody, because that was the whole idea of how he presented himself. he wants to put himself in a position where the authorities are going to take him away, and he has the poor, peace-loving man who has no choice. It was just sent to be the messenger, and now you're going to arrest me. I found that highly suspect, and that paid off later.
He was an asshat. I mean, I'll give you
Totally. And when they're looking through Yannick's belongings, I thought it was really those fortunate timing on Apollo's part that right as Starbuck starts asking him, we haven't really talked much since, you took your little spacewalk. And then he's like, oh, hey, look over here. What's this? Totally avoids it altogether. So obviously it's, alluding to his avoiding dealing with the situation with his near-death experience, and probably some sort of guilt involved, because like he said, he didn't want to come back, sort of thing. So I think he's still dealing with some emotional trauma on that side of things. And Sharon, after Hilo tells her the plan, goodness gracious. I was just like, oh, I don't even know how to explain that. It was just awful. You can only imagine how enraged she was and how desperate that feels.
Do you understand that emotional frustration? Do you think it was over the top? I don't.
No, I don't think it was over the
like
top.
that.
I don't think it was over the top at all.
I saw you, Amy. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I want. Just agree with me, and we'll get along fine.
Can I drop my 3 quips really quick?
You're what he wasn't?
Okay, one. If I were Sharon, I would have ripped that fucking door off the cell. And a whole lot of motherfuckers would have died. 2, you don't need a weatherman to tell you how the wind blows. And number 3, ground control to Major Tom.
Ground control. Amy.
Sorry.
What do you think about John's quibs?
I think the ground control to Major Tom things in reference to Apollo floating in space in the last episode, which is what Starbuck's referencing when she says, I haven't seen much of you since your spacewalk. Kind of implies that he's perhaps been avoiding her since his revelation of not wanting to have survived. And he's saying about Sharon in her cell, headbutting the glass, and she's like a caged animal kind of thing. She's just absolutely raging, and the doing that, it's like part. I think she's not doing it to try and escape. I think, as John said about ripping the doors off and killing everyone, I think she's still capable of doing that had she wanted to, but I think it was more just being distraught, really, and deliberately hurting herself because she didn't know what else to do. She it was almost like a self-harm type thing. It was just like the only thing she could do to kind of try and express some of the emotion, maybe. And she's like kind of ranting about, they want something to be afraid of, and she's kind of like she's planning to give them something to be afraid of, because so far she's been a model prisoner. She's cooperated, she hasn't done anything wrong, and now she's like, right, that's it, no more Mrs. Nice Cylon. And she's I think she would certainly be willing to kill a lot of people to keep her baby safe. I'm surprised she didn't actually kill any of them, because she's got the armed guards coming into the room each time. But I reckon she could take one or two of them out quite easily if she wanted to.
Yeah, maybe she kind of. I don't know. I guess killing them wouldn't accomplish anything unless she could have completely escaped. I don't know. You know, the emotions going on with that. To your point, that's very good point, Mackenzie.
Yes.
What do you feel about that? And we'll get to. I know you kind of talked about hashtag baby safety, didn't you? A little bit, but let the rest of the Jills touch on that too. But go ahead with the
Yeah, with let me scroll up. This thing's just going so weird. Hold on. Yeah, so in regards to Sharon and Hilo, you're kind of, for me, it's kind of starting to really wonder if this is a lot of manipulation from Sharon, because it's not just, it's like the fact of why doing this now, why do they want to take my baby now, who is also your baby, and like trying to manipulate him, kind of like what Six does with Baltar, but not so much in this now, not really more in a sexual manner rather than the maternal or like a paternal relation, in terms of just like how it's like you're the one that's on the outside and you have to protect our baby by any means necessary, in a sense, because I bet she can sense that he is a sensitive person. He hasn't had too much, like, this is him just coming back to basically reality. Like, she was the first person quote unquote that he had seen when they were on Caprica. So there's that established connection there, that not only was she the first person, but she was a girl who he fell in love with and then ultimately is having a baby with. So that's a lot of mindset and sort of mind games that she's slightly playing with him. Even though she repeatedly says that she loves him and that she'll want to take care of him, and that in some sense that they have to take care of each other. And to have also him worry about her and the baby while she's in this cage, essentially, and that she's being treated by a wild animal, because he's kind of getting two sides, but he's really leaning into her side, and kind of all the threats that come to her. Like, as soon as he finds out from Adama that Sharon's pregnancy is going to be terminated, he kind of freaks out. He's like, Adama, you're a father. Like, and is trying to appeal to that perspective. Yes, you can say, like, there's that towing the line of when do you actually become a father or a parent, in a sense, because right now, even though it's the baby is not born yet, it's the potential of becoming. You're not technically a father yet, so it's playing on that whole thing. And yeah, just the baby and the baby safety is just a big thing this episode. And when he goes against Adama later on, and he's just like, no, I don't want this. It's like, you're going and trying to fight against the Admiral. Like, it's not the smartest thing, but I can kind of see why, based off of what happens in the end. And then there's the Baltar stuff, but we can talk about that, I guess, or we're talking about that now.
hashtag baby safety. Is that what you mean? That part? Yeah. You can touch on that and then go ahead and throw it to any of the Jills when they're ready.
With Baltar and Six, it's just the whole thing of, because we haven't seen him be like dragged around by Head Six in a while, so it's kind of funny to see like us watching those two of them interact, and then the people that are around Baltar when this conversation's happening. Because it's just like, oh yeah, he just looks like a complete psychopath that's just walking around like pulling himself by his own tie, and then like falling down to the ground and yelling at somebody who doesn't exist. It's just showing the somewhat of the psychosis again. And him also going to visit Prison 6, and because he's had that note, the yellow notepad, where he's kind of having notes down about the blood and then draws the cells. So he's like trying to figure that out as well, and realizing that Cylon blood is important. So I put on my note, I said hashtag baby blood backstory is kind of what he's getting when he ultimately is talking to Prison 6 about the baby and like what the baby means, because this baby is important. And we obviously find out with Doc Coddle and Baltar's research, quote unquote, in the next part. So, yeah.
Clarissa, you got any thoughts on Baltar? He's just completely sane. He's a normal dude. You
And you're
muted.
frozen. Or you're muted.
You're still muted.
Of course I am.
It's okay.
So through this whole thing, it kind of, as I started thinking about, it's funny that you're talking baby safety, how they're going to save the baby. I was thinking about how Rosalind had been having these flashbacks, and how I'm wondering if she's interpreting them as like visions, which she has been with all the things that she's been seeing. What if this whole baby termination thing, what if from the beginning it was a test? Like, if there may have been some sabotage before that they knew about, and a faction that perhaps they knew about, could this be something that was being helped to flush out this movement? I mean, of course, you can't factor in the fact that she's dying and then the blood thing later and whatnot. But I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure that the intention was going to be followed through on with the baby termination. And I think we all know that Rosalind's a bit wise to Baltar. And yeah, I think that these visions have... Here, I have a note that I want to back up to really quick. He finds the file of known Cylon, sees picture 6, and he closes the folder. And then when he goes to Cloud 9 to meet with Prison 6, he's completely overwhelmed by emotion at seeing her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he's totally together. And I think he's being tested.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's totally a possibility. Especially with the letter that Baltar receives from sort of Billy, but we know it's from Rosalind, and it's the
Oh, run with that, you geniuses.
Yeah, and he's like, let's read this later.
Yeah, and just like Billy is like, will be your offices, and I know the next couple of days will be kind of crazy and insane based off of Rosalind's condition. And like, yeah, with the file thing, there's a reason why Six's face was on top, because all the other Cylon agents are freaking probably, it's just Sharon, and then probably, what was his name, The one.
Leoben.
Yeah. It's probably those are like the ones that are in the
And
Simon. Huh? Simon?
Leo, Doral, and Simon.
No, but the ones known to Galactica though.
Right, those three would be known to Galactica. Doral, walked in with a suicide vest.
They wouldn't have an image of Simon, though.
If they did, I'd be highly suspicious. That's a good point, Clarissa.
Yeah.
They might, but it would be a continuity.
But
Be
Starbuck
like-
knows, and she
Yeah.
might give it.
Yeah, but they don't really have a picture of him though. So it's
Exactly.
like because it's not like this is what is it 21st century technology where they're just like smartphone. Let me take a picture of you. But yeah, it's just.
Yeah, and I could totally see Starbuck giving her description. She'd be like, "Well, like he has these really pretty eyes, and he's creepy as fuck."
And
You
he's
know,
the
the
leader of a
guy-
baby farm.
He used to be on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Or was it Angel? One of those Joss Whedon shows. That guy.
Yeah, and he's he's the leader of the baby farm. But yeah, it's just the fact that he doesn't read it. Read it until the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And I'm highly suspicious because it's Six reading this letter and it's so kind of condescending. It's like, you're just the worst. Basically, it's like, you're just the worst person. You're not smart. I'm surprised that I'm leaving like the fleet in your hands, kind of like a type of letter. And he's like, this is how she really thinks about me. It's like,
Well, she thinks that he lacks compassion.
yeah.
Well, hold on. You can touch on this in just a second because everything's going to come back to this moment with Rosalind and Baltar in the bed, I think. Amy, before we get there, hashtag baby safety, pro or against? How can you be against baby safety, Johnny? Why are you going to set me up like that? Anyway.
Right, so this is the. Sorry, I had to pop upstairs. Was it the conversation when Six comes back that you were discussing?
Yeah,
Head
that
Six.
one and the one with Prison 6. Everybody thinks we say Prison 6 because everyone has a dirty mind. Don't lie to yourself. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, she. So Head Six is a bit grumpy when she comes back. She's like, I never left you weeks ago. And he thinks she's jealous. She says she's concerned about their child. She's talking to him about how when he's president, he'll be able to override what Rosalind's ordered. That's quite a funny line from Baltar. He said, without military support, I'm no more than an anointed dog catcher. It's a bit of an odd phrase. And she's talking about him having his own resources with the nuclear warhead, which is a bit of kind of plants the idea in his head for later, I think. And then you've got him with the tie. Everyone's staring at him because he's pulling his own tie. He's making himself look a bit batshit again. And then, hang on a minute. Just I've completely lost myself in my notes now.
I lost myself in the chat, so this does not help. Bring us back online, Jill.
With Baltar, and then he goes to Cloud 9 to go and talk to Prison 6.
Yes, when he talks to her, he's telling her what Rosalind said. It's almost like he's kind of delivering the message as such. Although Prison 6 is quite skeptical. She says that she's trying to buy time, but obviously Baltar has bought the warhead with him. I don't know if it's just that Head 6 planted the seed and that was his own idea, or if it actually was Head Six's idea. And the letter, which was before that, and the way Head Six reads it, I think the delivery and the tone of it makes it sound even worse.
Very condescending, huh?
Yeah, she's kind of making it sound very, very negative and sort of patronizing. And it's kind of funny that thing about him, that he's all self-centered and doesn't think about anybody else. It's ironic, really, that appears in this episode when we see how much Baltar's actually changed, because he's not happy with Prison Six when he actually goes to see her and she's talking about the peace movement. He's like, do you know what? I'm not. He actually says, I won't be responsible for the death of mankind. Now, he actually nearly was at one point. If you think about it, the original attack wouldn't have happened without him giving them access. So it's like he's kind of atoning for that, because he did feel a lot of guilt over it. It was mentioned a lot, and it's not really been mentioned in any episodes lately. But I think he's in the error of his ways, maybe.
Ooh, maybe. We will see. Do you think it could just be him doing the opposite of what he thinks Rosalind will think he does? Like, just so he could say he got one over on Rosalind? Like, you thought I'm going to do this? Well, I'm going to do this because I'm a petulant child. Do you think he could be taking that route?
Possibly. But he wants to keep her on side, doesn't he? Because he intends to work with her to kind of, be able to kind of sabotage her maybe and take her down from inside. So I don't know if he would do anything that might raise her suspicions. Hard to tell.
Yeah. Well, I'll let any of y'all say any more about the baby in just a second. But right now, I wish I had some music. I'll get that together at some point. It is the expert teaser segment with John St. Baptiste. How is everyone doing tonight? Let me give a couple of shout outs in the chat while we're taking a slight break before we wrap it up with a nice, good ending. Don't worry, we're not ending anytime soon. Well, I don't know about anytime soon. Soon is a relative term, but it's, we're not like immediately ending. This is not the end of the show. This is only like the last half. So, with that, Julianne89, thank you so much for coming out. Lady Laura Dane Starfall, Nathan Thompson, what is up? Who we got? Bobby Catalano. Come on, Bobby. Oh, Bobby, we miss you, Bobby. I feel like I want to buy you a laptop, but I am broke. I can do some panhandling. I will try it. Catherine Harding, thank you so much for coming out, my friends. Bubba Husky.
On like 4th and Main, asking people for money, like
doing my announcer voice. Bubba Husky, Danny McKay. Thanks so much, my friends, for coming out. If anybody I haven't named, please make yourself known. That way I can give you a shout out and not feel like an asshole later. John, expert teaser segment. I think I did it. Catherine Harding, John, probably, I probably
left.
Al. What's up, Al? Go roll some die for me. Just a die.
Maybe McKay did say smoke them if you got them, so.
I don't think that's what he meant.
By the way, new Cylon John's drinking game. If anybody wants to keep up, every time I light a cigarette, you have to take a drink.
Yes, John is responsible for many people's demise. Go ahead with your expert teaser segment, buddy.
Okay, first I have to ask, did anybody get my reference when I said you don't need a weatherman to tell you where the wind blows?
No.
Al, I think, might have got it. Okay, so there was a group of terrorists for peace I think would be the best way to put it, back in the 1960s called the Weathermen. And they based their thoughts, or their anthem was the Bob Dylan song Weathermen, which has that line in it. So that's what I was referencing. I'm sorry if everybody.
No, man, you have to school us. Not as many people have as big a brain as you there. So don't make me feel like an asshole for being super stupid. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm not
Man.
trying to make you-
No. I love when you're able to actually give some background because not everybody's gonna know, but I'm sure Al did. Al did get it. I don't know why I'm making this even more awkward than it already was, but no, I really do dig the information. And go for it. Trying to flounder here.
Okay, what's his name? Yogi fucking the guy from
Yogi Bear.
Yogi Bear. What the gentleman who is leading this resistance movement?
Yahi.
Royan John He.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Does anybody kind of think of him as like Zarek Light?
No, I see him as.
Yeah, it's like Yogi. That's like everybody should accept everybody and no more fighting. Like it's like a whole.
Except we're going to try and kill the people who are defending us. So
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, it's just like that. But then it's like, let me just incite violence, so then everybody who is brainwashed by me, is good. They're good people. They know that they're all right.
Yeah, I just that was my initial impression. Zarek Light. My big question to the panel that I'm going to leave my rant with is, do you think Baltar does what he does for Rosalind because he thinks it's the right thing to do? Or do you think he does it because he really doesn't want that freaking job?
Well, I don't think he wants the job. I think every time the job presents itself, he sabotages himself. Because as much as he wants power, at the same time, like we were talking about earlier, he still carries this guilt from having started this whole thing in the first place. Although he doesn't take that into consideration when he's making his dumb decisions to try and get back at things, because his own vanity stands in the way of his good sense. Yeah, Baltar's got issues. Big ones.
But can say that again. Gigawatts.
He doesn't give 10 gigadicks.
Yes, embrace it, Clarissa. Embrace the darkness.
You were telling her to embrace the gigadick then. Filthy. I don't actually think it's either. I don't think he's I think he does what he does with the blood because for the science. It's you can see he's like it's a problem he's trying to solve. You see him with his notes for ages and he's like writing stuff down and trying to figure it out. And the fact that he's suddenly come up with an answer, well, he wants to prove that he's right. I think that's his biggest motivation. And if he's essentially going to then be responsible for discovering a cure for cancer, he's the kind of recognition and kudos that comes with that. That's probably going to mean far more to him than the fact that he has actually saved someone's life.
Sorry, I was getting over embracing it. Sasa, you got anything to add that is, a little more, what would you call it, learned than what the hell I've been bringing to the table?
The whole thing with Baltar, it's just he's kind of stuck in this situation where, again, he almost it's not self-sabotage, but he puts himself in this episode in a situation where he goes against what Six wants. Six wants to have him have control, and he decides that he's like, maybe I don't want it right exactly at this point or ever. So he looks into the blood work from Sharon's baby and tries to cross-reference it with scientific testing by trying to make sure if it, like, getting, I guess, a replicant of cancer cells, and tries to fix it that way. And
Were nanolons the key here, Kenzie? Is that what you're saying?
you could say that the nanolon maybe could in some circumstances, but yeah, he's like going and testing all the stuff. Like, if he wanted to be president, he could have just easily let her die, but he goes through all of this work and all of this testing to keep her alive, but then also in some sense keep the baby alive. So it's like, I guess you have to have one with the other almost. But yeah, he could have easily let Rosalind die, but he decides, no, I still want to sit in the shadows for a while and just hang back.
What do you think is in game? Why does he want to keep Rosalind? Is it selfish? Like John, that's a good point. This is the third segment. We're talking about everything that entails this, the culmination of all these decisions. So yeah, it's
He's
a good point.
Because if you are, I guess, because if he was to be the president, then he'd have a lot more attention on himself. He'd have a lot more people asking him questions every single day, almost every hour of the day, asking him questions. He couldn't have conversations like he does with Head Six without actually people giving him a lot of attention about it. Like, they'd actually come up to him and be like, "Are you okay? Do you need psychiatric care?" And kind of trying to depose him as a president and then try to shove somebody else into the vice president role, because then they'd have to go through a whole election again and kind of like, who is now the vice president? Who would be the best option to follow up with Baltar? Who would work best with Baltar?
Well, keep in mind, they have a couple months before another election has to happen by colonial law.
Yeah.
They've only got a couple months. Like, so whether this miracle cure works or not, like, they've only got a couple months.
But that's still, like, to Kenzie's point, that strengthens her point, in my opinion. I think that's really good pickup. At least observation, how you're breaking it down.
No, I agree with you entirely, Kenzie. I'm just throwing that.
That's
chill in the water.
It's just kind of keeping him like at bay for now. So there's not really much attention on him, because we already know that he is a sympathizer to the Cylon race, to the Cylon agents. His lover is a known Cylon agent. So like, if all of these things kept racking up, especially if he would become president, a lot, like,
not his lover. The woman he loves, but not his lover. She's very clear that
Clarice is just like, God damn it. But basically, it's what she is in all intents and purposes. Like,
I just wanted to make that clarification that they're.
I'm sure they saw the same scene.
And
Clarissa, come on, lovers. Clarissa, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just like,
no, it's okay.
If you had the power that. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just thinking. You had the power that Rosalind had, you'd have Gigadix. So, anyway. Oh, you're a bad influence on me, Johnny.
Would anybody like to read what Bobby just wrote?
Oh, dear. Let's go back to that. I was looking at my notes. But the dirty blonde has big attitude, and hallucination 6 is pissed off, and I don't know what to think. They don't blame you, Bobby, at all.
And then what she says right after that.
Gaius is God. Oh, okay. But here's the thing. If he's God, then I'm sorry. I don't know who's doing the science consulting on this show.
Yeah.
But it's like, so if human blood is shaped like this, and
Hold
Cylon
on.
blood is shaped like this, you put
Carissa,
them together and they cure cancer.
I'm going to give you a bone a little bit here, okay? I'm going to give y'all a bone. John's giving y'all kind of a bone. If you're running with that, just think of what's happening. What entails God? Think about religions that we know of. Think about the symbolism you've seen. Now, he may or may not be God. That's a crazy leap to go to. But if he is, what would he have to be? What representation would he entail? And then you can break it down from there. If you want to go that route, that's a dang cool thing you
Are
said
we
there, Bobby.
talking like
Love it. But
Mohammedan?
well, we got theoretical shit here. This is what I love getting into. So yeah, go for it.
Amy, we must bounce on this one. We must. Gaius is God. Confused God.
I don't think so. The Head Six maintains that he's chosen by God, but it doesn't mean that he is divine in that sense.
It could be a Jesus.
So, or Moses, or
Kenzie's got a good point. We did see him doing a Jesus pose for a while.
oh,
to remember
The savior.
Yeah, he was kind of like
He's
standing
the
there like,
savior. That's what
I
they
am mankind's
think them all
savior.
And
Yeah.
does that mean he's going to have to sacrifice himself to save everyone else?
Dun, dun,
It's
dun.
possible.
Well, if he's sick in the head, because he's already sick in the head because he wants to have sex with this woman who's in his head in her home, and also be dragged around by a woman who somehow exists but doesn't exist.
So, I mean, what are the things that we have to look for, like that would be parallels to that, like turning water into wine, turning Cylon blood into geometry?
But you can say that he did that.
I did wonder if that was maybe some sort of shorthand or it was supposed to be like a scientific diagram. That's not how you usually draw a blood cell, but it's
no, I think it's more of an intellectual tool.
Yeah.
It was just he explained it so funny to all these people. It's like, here's my science. Here's this shape. There's that shape. It's a cure for cancer.
Well, kind of like almost the opposite because he took the sample of the Cylon fetus blood and it went from red to clear. So instead of going from clear, these two are just like going, yes. So going from like clear to red, it's like the opposite perspective.
Well, they add the blood to the cancer cells, and the cancer cells.
Yeah, it was just clear.
Used all the blood up, and then it was gone.
It was all fine afterwards.
All the cancer exploded.
Yeah.
On a microscopic level.
It's the opposite for that, at least, because it's going from something clear to red and red to clear.
And if he is God or whatever he entails, if
the savior,
like he at this point doesn't know it yet, right? He's walking around blindly being whatever he is. That's real. It's really hard to leap for that, but
yeah, there's the whole thing of Jesus not having his own child, but having all of the other people, his like people around him, considered his children, and miracles with small children, huge thing. So
well, yeah, I think we need to look at other parallels, like them casting the bankers from the steps of the temples and things like that.
Do you think you're going to hear the phrase 6 into your hand? I commend my spirit. Why have you forsaken me?
That's super specific.
That's System of down limits.
Sorry, Bible.
I was
No,
going to say,
nobody said that
didn't
about
Eric Cartman
1,000
say that on South
down
Park?
to.
Did anybody else notice though when he's talking to Prison 6, she says that you saved me, now I'll save you, and he goes, oh, here we go again. Like, not another fucking religious version. He's kind of like, oh God, all this talk of saving and God. I think he might have kind of gone back into science mode slightly. And you notice head six is always very much like she constantly seeks his reassurance, do you love me, do you love me? And the last scene between those two, she's sort of telling him off, essentially saying like, why did you do this? You could have had this position of power, and you've denied yourself this leadership. And when she says she doesn't understand, he says, neither will your corporeal counterpart. And straight away, do you love her?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still an obsession. Whereas when he tells Prison 6 that he does love her, she's like, no, thank you. She kind of doesn't really want to know.
Yeah.
And like he's touching her face and stuff, and it kind of upsets her. I think perhaps it was more of a trigger thing for like the abuse that she'd suffered when she was on the Pegasus, but she kind of rejects him. And he's that's kind of going to mess with his head a little bit, I think.
Does she like, because it's his lip that's the thing that bleeds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that entire time though, if you like look at the notepad, he has that drawing of the hexagon or whatever of the cell. Trying to explain what the cell and the crossover of the cells look like. Because
run with the nanolons, Sasa. Like, why did this work on Rosalind? Y'all can start running with that.
they say because there's the two different tests, because Caudle says that he couldn't find it, like he found anomalies, but he couldn't dig deeper into what it was. And then Baltar comes back and says to Adama that the baby's blood, like the fetus blood, has no actual blood type, or blood type that they would know, because it's a mixture of human and Cylon blood. And there's that genetic, I guess you could say, genetic crossover with the Cylon blood and the human blood, which makes a special type of blood. And it's, I guess, blood zero, because it doesn't exist, or it didn't exist until this point, or whatever, because it's... And
it worked really fast, right?
Yeah, because they took the vial from Sharon and then basically immediately put it into Rosalind's IV. And then, like, once it's finished, like, Doc Otto's like, I don't like this. This is like dark magic. I don't like it. It's blood magic. And it's like, I don't condone this. And then Rosalind starts violently shaking. So she didn't get the slow clap. She just gets violent shakes. So that's, I guess, another side effect of nanolon.
Fast clap?
Huh?
She doesn't get the slow clap, she gets the fast clap.
The fast clap, or violent shakes, I guess. Violent shakes are another form of silent nanolons. When nanolons get injected into your system, and then she gets another scan, and Doc Ottle's like, I don't see anything that's wrong with her lungs anymore. Which, it probably was a couple hours. And
you think Doc Cottle's a believer now? A believer?
Well, we already saw him be sympathetic to Sharon 2 episodes ago. So the fact that her baby, this is the magical baby that was promised. Throwing another Game of Thrones reference into this.
Oh, this is gonna tie in with Westeros. You think they're gonna land on Westeros? Oh, that'd be some crazy shit.
this is Earth is now Westeros. This is the magical baby. But yeah, it's just Sharon has a magical baby. But now begs the question: if any other person has ailments, once this baby is born, still in utero, are they just going to use it just for its blood purposes? Like that was like a question that I had. I was like, yeah.
Would that make them like the Cylons with their farm?
I don't know. Yeah.
Like you have to ask that moral and ethical question. Would that kind of make them like the Cylons with their farm?
Not just that as well, the fact the actual act of the fetal blood sampling can cause miscarriage. It's not a very commonly used procedure. It's only in very particular instances where there's some sort of genetic abnormalities already being detected by other tests, and it's not just having a scientist essentially like Baltar doing it without being guided by ultrasound or anything was a little bit bothersome for my sciencey brain. But yeah, that it's not a good idea. It wouldn't be a good idea for them to suddenly decide, well, let's try and make more of these babies with the super blood, because they could potentially kill them just by doing that procedure while they're in utero. And even with like a sort of a child or something, there wouldn't be enough if, say, they had to give somebody a full blood transfusion with it. There's just not enough blood in a tiny baby for like an adult.
Yeah, to your point, right? It would be dangerous. What they did already was super dangerous to the baby. Is that going to have any connotations later, right?
Yeah.
It's really dangerous. Normally, if any sort of they can take cells from the placenta, which is obviously a shared blood supply. It's called chorionic villus sampling. Even that carries a risk of miscarriage, and they have to use an ultrasound to guide the needle to make sure they don't hit anything they shouldn't. And that would be a preferred thing to check for genetic abnormalities. So to actually go and take a blood sample from the fetus itself is like ridiculously more dangerous and has much higher risks.
Yeah.
So it is a seriously risky procedure that they're doing. And I can't imagine it's something that they would do again.
Lady Lord, can I say, Lady Laura Dane, you have officially been entered. # placenta bars. Go ahead.
I was watching that whole scene and I was thinking to myself, gee, it's a good thing that Baltar has so much experience collecting blood from fetal samples that are still alive in the mother's womb. I was like, what is he doing?
Well, exactly. Even in real world speaking, something like that would have to be done by a very experienced obstetrician. And it's done with using an ultrasound so that they can see what they're actually doing inside.
No, I kind of can smoke a cigarette while doing this procedure. No sweat.
Yeah.
I can smoke a cigarette while doing anything.
I use the kidney dish as an ashtray.
There's actually a cigarette butt in Adama's chest. He's not telling him though.
But yeah, it's just, how they do some stuff so well with how things are and the attention to detail. I think that was the one thing that really bothered me this episode, was that they'd done that. Like, just had this, okay, he's a doctor, but Baltar's not a doctor of medicine. So it's very unusual.
Look at this more of a machine style. Sorry, John, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say we're going to go a bit more into that on Tuesday. It was a show writer decision.
What, to have him do it instead of like Cottle?
That, and just a few things about the whole blood transfusion thing. It was a show writer decision,
Okay.
which we'll talk a wee bit more about on Tuesday. But still, yes, you have a point. It seems very like 3
it's
years
just-
in school, and I'll be a doctor of ancient medieval literature. It doesn't mean that
I can perform.
It's almost like
I can like take bodies apart or anything like that.
yeah, it's done as though it's like it would be the same as just taking a blood sample from anybody.
Mhm.
Like to be doing it that quickly and that quantity as well. I mean, we don't really know how far along she actually is, but
And
a
they did.
fetus doesn't have that much blood.
No. Yeah, and the one note that kind of I had with this, it's just like, but with the Cylon cells curing cancer debate, I'm not entirely surprised that Baltar would look into some sort of way to save the baby. Like he'd look at trying anything, and even if it's maybe has not necessarily negative connotations, but the potential just to do anything. Um, you just try to save it in some way, and the only way to save it is to, in some sense, cure Rosalind because that was her whole thing. So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, can I also throw in there considering how fast it worked, such a small sample, could you think of the blood as almost mechanical, maybe, in the way it works?
Mechanical, how, like,
Well, you
Hashtag
have actual
nanolons.
nanolons now that are tiny robots that can go into the bloodstream. They're working on that. They have them in actual science today. So, do you think there's something like that going on? Is the blood mechanical? I know it's a hard thing to wrap your mind around, but that could give a credence to Baltar more being the one to draw this. Also, they think about them as machines. I'm just throwing this at you.
well, because it ate, or seemingly ate, the cancer cells. So that's kind of a whole thing. But now we have to figure out if it negatively affects Rosalind in the future, even though she's seemingly fine at the end of the episode, or as fine as she can be through going through all of that she has. So a sneaking suspicion that something's that's gonna come up again, and her having to deal with maybe another time, because yes, it said that she's basically been cured, but is this only a temporary solution? Is the thing that we're kind of left with.
That's a
and
good
then
point.
and then the last thing is just the Yahi when she's like, when she wants to go meet with Yahi or however you want to pronounce his name. But yeah, we get Bill and Adama again. But did we talk about the fact that he's like, we have to pray for Rosalind?
Oh no, that's up in here. We got to get into that.
Grave situation. I was just like,
If
oh,
I may, before we move on to the final segment,
Oh, we already shit deep in the final segment, buddy.
one thing that we did not bring up, when Lee talks to Ty, I think that's very important to the development of Lee's character.
which part?
When he tells him he doesn't care what he thinks.
Right. He's like, I'm the CAG.
Yep, that's what I do now. I'm back. You don't like it? You should have thought of that before.
Did anybody have any thoughts about that? I just want to touch on it for a moment, if anybody has any thoughts about that, because I think
It was very Starbuck.
well, yeah, it's very Starbuck.
It's yeah, it was just when did the whole changing of that? It's like, when did that happen? Because it obviously happened off screen.
It happened before Lee took the TAC team to the refinery ship and they were going to dock, and then it exploded when they were going to dock because it was a trap.
And it's just like, did anybody else have any thoughts when he's like, "Fuck you"? Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do what I want. I'm the CAG. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's,
might be the XO, but I'm the CAG, and I can tell my.
I think it was just because they couldn't have Apollo as like the lowest ranking person for like multiple episodes. Like this actor is very important to the show, and to have him like at pretty much the lowest rank possibly given.
No, there's
Which
a
is
lot lower than Lieutenant.
when I know, but like in terms of like as a main character, to have him as
Right.
pretty much the lowest rank would just be annoying, and like having him build back up his like levels would just be just so annoying to watch. And so it was kind of an easy choice and an easy way for the writers to get him back to the position that he needed to be, because they got nobody else pretty much. Like they said in this episode, they're pulling civilian crew members.
But no, what I'm bringing up is that Apollo's never acted like this. Like, technically, in the ranking system, I is above him.
But yeah, probably just like him coming back from him being kind of wanting to die in a sense, is just being the more, I guess, assertive thing. It's just like it changes you almost. So it's like maybe that's what it is. And plus also, like Clarissa said, it's the influence of like Starbuck, because those two are endgame. Come on. Or close enough to endgame that it's just like, why not?
So you're kind of thinking Apollo has zero fucks to give anymore.
Pretty much. He already got in trouble with Ty by pulling a gun on him last season. So it's like him just doing talkback isn't the worst thing that he's ever done.
Do you think he has more in common with Ty than meets the eye? Also, is he throwing himself in this to get his mind off the other stuff?
I don't
Or-
think he wants the job anymore, though, does he? We've discussed this in a previous episode, that he seems unhappy with the responsibility and he doesn't enjoy it. And maybe he didn't expect to kind of get reinstated as CAG. I think perhaps he kind of was hoping that he wouldn't. Maybe that's why he's being rude and stuff, because he's just like, do you know what, just fucking fuck you, demote me. It kind of like almost sabotaging himself on purpose.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. By the way, Lady Laura Dean, Starfall, wants to have supper with all of us.
Are we going to do a mukbang episode then?
what in the living hell? No, we're not getting into that. Well, I already do clown porn on the side. We can't get into this right now.
I think who knows? We may go viral if we do.
Everybody
Mukbang.
eats.
No, I'm not gonna lie. You pretty much got to the end. So if there's anything you want to bring up that we haven't covered, pull it out. See, I'm coming out with these weird phrases tonight, but
Pull it out.
Pulling out my gigadicks.
If you had done this, we wouldn't
The
even
only
episode.
the only thing that I'm just like about is if Yahi is actually a Cylon,
Oh.
because he has that conversation with Prison 6, and he's like, "This is what he wanted me to give you," and it's, I don't know what the contraption was called, but it's like that.
It's the nuclear warhead.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he is, though, because she had that conversation with Baltar when he said, do any of them know what you really are? And she said no. And if he was as well, you would think they'd be like working together.
But there may be models that don't know that they are until.
Oh, that's true. He could be like a sleeper agent, couldn't he? I hadn't thought of that.
Because they said that, or Sharon says that there's 8 models that live in this fleet or that are in the fleet somewhere.
Yeah, y'all
Mhm.
done fell asleep slightly on it. Get them.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just because it wouldn't be like a crazy situation because he is kind of like all up with the Cylons and wanting them to have freedom. And if the leader, like the bona fide leader, was a Cylon, hey, why not? Because it's like if I can recruit Cylons and non-Cylons alike to my side, hey, I win. So, yeah.
Did we
John
even
farted.
address?
Just
Did
tech
we
fart.
even address how Rosalind was romantically connected to President Adar?
Not really.
And you didn't
Yeah.
talk too much about the get into that. And
She's
didn't
into
talk too much
guys
about
with power.
That's her type.
Go for
They're
it.
hot.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, like she got some control and then he's like, you did what you wanted to do and you didn't even consult me. She's like, yeah, I knew what I want to do because I do it. And yeah, and then
Adama's a better choice. You know,
She just
Clarissa,
takes that giga and goes for it.
he's fine with being a bottom.
yeah, she wants to be she is a Dama mama.
Yeah.
But yeah, she leaves. And obviously he has obviously died because she says I'm going to board Galactica in a few days or something like that. So
No, that day I think.
yeah.
That very day.
I got the impression that her extracurricular relationship with him was maybe for her own motives for what she was trying to do with because it was some sort of teacher strike, I think. And I wonder if she kind of tried to that she ended up kind of sleeping with him just to try and influence his decisions, so she could get her ideas heard more by getting close to him. I could certainly see her doing something like that.
Yeah.
I just
Like-
thought it was interesting.
Yeah. She could be one of those people that she's like what is it? They just like the power aspect. Plus yeah. Who knows? Well, she kind of got where she was because of her leaving. So if she hadn't left, then who would have been the president? Bum bum bum.
That's the
That's
point,
fine.
actually, because there weren't any other politicians on board, were there? As far as we know, it's like the fact that she was the only sort of member of the government, although very low down.
She was the representative of their administration.
Yeah. So
As
it's
she
like
put
that's
it.
like because she's kind of the designated survivor, which is like the one that's like in the office that's the least, or like it's the one that in the end becomes the president. So she was the designated survivor. So maybe that is the reason why she got to go on the ship in some subconscious ways, that she is the designated survivor. Dun dun dun. And the two Johns are just finagling in the background because they're both off camera and they're both muted. So they're just
I ripped my mustache out on accident.
I'm only off camera because I've had to stand up because my back's hurting. So I stood on my feet too long at the gig, and it's made my back go a bit dodgy. So yeah, Johnny knows them feels.
yeah,
Um,
it's stuff like that though. It's like
Mosh
she's
pit.
the designated survivor. She's almost like the designated survivor of the government because the rest of them, minus the civilians in the fleet, are just normal people. The rest of them are military. So
I think I would say she's the accidental survivor. Like, I mean, there's some really weird head shit to go into. Is what would have happened if Rosalind hadn't been around?
Yeah, that's what we were trying to figure out, is who would have been.
It would have been a military.
It would have
government.
been like the
It would have
Pegasus
been like
situation.
It would have been the Pegasus.
Which it wouldn't have been exactly because they have Adama there.
Maybe a kinder, gentler Pegasus, but
Yeah.
it
Because Adama would have been probably the one that was in charge, at least, of Galactica.
he'd have to take his glasses off at least once or twice.
He'd have to be a stern father for 5 minutes compared to his somewhat lackadaisy, lackadaisy leadership.
Oh, I don't know. Adama can be a stern father. Get out of this room before I have to hurt you.
Yeah.
That wasn't exactly what he said. What did he say to Starbuck? Get out of this room while you still can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's very lackadaisy, but he's not.
Compared to Kane, he's very lax. So it's just.
He's not going to be executing family members of people anytime soon, I think, is kind of what she's getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, compared to Kane, he's pretty lax. So that was my whole thing. And, John, if Laura wasn't on this show, then you wouldn't have the signed picture in the background.
There you
The
go.
signed picture that the amazing, wonderful imagery you got for me at what was the convention, Amy? I'm sorry.
It was Comic-Con. It was the Comic-Con that we had in Birmingham, MCM Comic-Con. And I went again the other week.
I was gonna say hashtag share with the whole class. Did you bring enough for the whole class, Amy? I'm kidding.
Johnny,
I'm so kidding. I'm so kidding. I am so
I've
kidding.
got presents for everybody from the last Comic-Con though.
I'm kidding. I am kidding. Please, no. I'm kidding.
Oh no, we have to flash. I'm going to put my camera back on. I've sat back down. Hang on.
I gotta be an
Okay.
asshole to everybody on the panel at least once, or this just wouldn't be me.
This is what I'm going to send these to everybody.
I'll get mine in person in
No,
like
no,
6
I feel
weeks.
guilty.
Yeah. So you've got your lovely. I'm going to send you this. I
No,
got one for everybody.
John is the biggest fan. I can't think of anyone else who deserved that. Honestly, I think that's a fantastic thing you did. I just like being an asshole, but I do like looking at a picture instead of John. It's something I can focus on besides whatever the hell his face is.
Yeah, or he just.
Prettier.
Or each day, or each time you stream, you just focus on a different book that's on John's shelf because he has so many that you can just look at one book and Rosalind. You can just find a new book to look at in Rosalind, and then you get.
Should I do a virtual tour?
You have to do a bookshelf tour, John,
Yeah,
on your channel.
Let him. Oh yeah, you got to, man.
Okay, we need to make this like a money grab.
Maybe. Let's see what we can get out of it. I know I can get at
do
least
my
you $2 on GoFundMe.
We'll make this a money grab to get a virtual tour of John's library,
On your Patreon. There you go.
which I don't have.
Right.
You can make one.
Yeah, you just give me the money.
Oh.
That's all good.
And then I'll
It'll
just
get to John, I swear.
because otherwise he's gonna beat me.
That's right. You know who your daddy is. Do y'all have any final thoughts on this segment? Then I'm gonna let John do his expert rant, and then we'll give our predictions. But is there anything else you want to bring up before we start to get wrapping up? Even though it'll still take a few minutes to wrap up.
No.
Good gosh. All right.
Everybody's like, no.
Oh shit,
Nope.
man. John, would you like to rant about anything? Would you like to tell the Jills if they did good or bad? I know you can't get into too much detail, but rant away, my friend. And you know what? If you want to, curse about something, go ahead and go for it. If you want to curse at me, that's fine. You'll get a couple extra licks later, but you know you like it.
Jill, I think you did well. I would like to throw out that this was the first episode that was critically not well received. Now, what are your thoughts there?
This is one of my so compared to other episodes this season, like they're all really good, but I thought this was right up there. I thought it was a really good episode.
Mhm. I can kind of see why they didn't like it, because abortion is a touchy subject. They're touching on a lot of the touchy subjects this part of the season.
They did that a lot in the early 2000s. It was a
It
thing.
gets worse. Just saying, it gets worse.
John's
Yeah.
always full of the good news about the show. Every week it
Just
gets better.
worse. Every week it just gets shittier and shittier. But yeah,
But that's part of the appeal of the show, though, isn't it? Sort of addressing controversial subjects, and they have again handled it in a fairly sensitive way, I'd say. The fact that she backtracked, and they're showing that it's not that how that decision's like affecting people. It's not just like, oh yeah, well this is what's going to happen. It's one of those things that makes you think.
Yeah, by worse, I don't mean the quality of the show. I mean
You mean like the subjects that it addresses?
Harder of topics to deal with.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, because obviously we had the rape thing recently as well, and it's it doesn't put me off that they're going to sort of deal with sensitive subjects like this, because the way that they've done it so far, I think they've done it well.
Yeah, agreed. My one final question, and Johnny touched on this earlier. If humanity is ordering abortions, have we lost our humanity? And does that make the Cylons more human than humans are?
Depends on how you define humanity, doesn't it, though? When they were on Kobol, wasn't it Six was saying about that's like killing is what makes humans human?
Very true. I'm just asking, I mean humanity in the philosophical sense.
Mm.
Like, and this is a tough question. If you just want to avoid it, please do. I'm not trying to make anybody uncomfortable or anything like that. But that was my big takeaway from this episode.
I think it depends. Yeah, it's how you would define being human as such. It certainly makes it look like that the Cylons have more compassion than we do.
Except for the fact that they committed a mass genocide.
Yeah, but humans have done that shit too. It's in this particular instance, like, well, to be fair though, we don't know how the rest of the Cylons would act.
By the way, everybody, Amy True, Cylon sympathizer.
Oh no, watch out.
It's not. See, this is what happens when I do get soppy over really random shit, like robot people. I have more sympathy for robots and animals than I do for other people.
Well placed.
Yeah. And I think that's because the show is making us, is deliberately portraying them in a more sympathetic way that makes you kind of empathise with them. But yeah, it's really difficult to say. I don't think it's as simple as like who's more human. It's like who has more compassion, who has the better morals. It could be any number of things. And if
I didn't say who's more human, I said who has more humanity. So who's more humane?
We don't know how the rest of the Cylons would react to this baby, do we? They might want to get rid of it.
That's what I was getting to with the coddle thing. Like,
yeah,
what if there's a reason that he didn't protest the whole thing?
Thou doesn't protesteth at alleth. Sorry, that was a horrible attempt at humor. Wah, wah.
Yeah, we haven't seen them put in the exact same situation, so I think it's difficult to judge like how there's if it was if she was on board a Cylon ship, how would they treat her and what would they think of this baby?
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed.
Yeah. If she'd been a human having a Cylon baby, would it be different?
Oh, that's not what we thought.
Just saying.
No, that's a bloody hell of a thought.
that's the point, actually. I mean, would she just be someone on a farm in that instance? Because isn't that what they were trying to do on the farm?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they were trying to do.
In which case, they were treating them worse, really, because that was against their will. And, they're hooked up to machines and all this stuff.
Life
Whereas-
support machines.
But is that...
You don't got to get up to go get a snack, at least.
No, they just have Simon working there, so he's
Yeah.
Nothing creepy about
Pretty
Simon.
Not at all creepy. Right then. So, on the creepy dude note.
Well, do y'all want to, John, you got any more questions for him? And then we can go into rankings. John, I know you got a ranking. You want to go ahead and give yours, or do you want to wait till the podcast? It is up to you. I don't give 2 fracks and a thumbs up. Whatever the hell that means.
My one question that I have to ask,
Mhm.
after everything that's gone through this episode, do you think that Demand Peace is a Cylon front?
Demanding peace.
No, the movement Demand Peace.
Yeah, they have a real original, well thought out name.
Yeah, it's like the worst name for a. But
Well-
do you think that it's a front for the Cylon, or do you think that
What?
it's,
Yahi is like the ringleader, is a Cylon. Then, yes, in some sense. Plus, if you have people who back him that potentially are Cylons, why not? But go ahead, Chris.
I'm in
No.
2 minds.
You have 2 minds?
Yeah, I think it could be. It could be that it's being influenced by the Cylons purely because Prison 6 appears to have some sort of position of authority with it. However, it's... I certainly don't think they've brainwashed anybody like the humans that are members of it. So I think perhaps it could be a combination of a bunch of naive people that are being influenced in a certain direction, maybe.
I think it's very possible that people started it and that Cylons were like, this is a great opportunity for us to infiltrate an organization to start putting some terror tactics into play, because they can't just bring in the fleets and stuff anymore now that they have destroyed the what do you call it? What was it?
The resurrection ship.
Yeah, the reconstitution class. If you're a Star Trek fan, then you get the joke.
I got it.
All right. Because the
I'm
original
dying here,
Enterprise is
Clovis.
Constitution class. Anyway, no, I think that definitely the Cylons saw it and are taking advantage of it, and I don't think that Prison 6 is the only one that is. But I think that I think humans started it. Easy. Sorry, but we're humans, and humans make dumb choices sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we follow our passions to a point of it being flawed. And that's very possible that that's how this movement started. It doesn't mean that that's how it's going to progress, but it could mean that's how it started.
Mackenzie?
Well, I thought it was like started by one of the Cylons, but just because they're good at manipulation, they got humans on board. But they're like the Cylons that are like the sleeper agents who like don't think they are. But because it's kind of the representative blah, 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 of this specific campaign is something, I never remember his first name, Yahi, who's like
Roy and Yahi.
Yeah, and how he's just kind of like, because he's the last place that we go to in this episode with Rosalind and just having that face-to-face interaction. So he's important, not just because he's one of the ringleaders of this, that there's something extra to him because they focused on him kind of a lot this episode. Like with him by himself, that whole scene of him walking through Galactica, getting on the ship, going to Cloud9, seeing Physical 6, having the confrontation with Lee, Ty, maybe Gata, I can't remember if he was there, Adama, and them all like talking about pamphlets that are going around about this being a pro Cylon sympathizer thing. Like, there's a lot of things that kind of point to him either being a new character or B, Cylon. So it's hard to say if he did it himself or if that's his quote unquote mission as a Cylon or a mission as a person.
Yeah.
My last question would be, if you were in this circumstance, would you join Demand Peace?
No.
Depends on
But the name is an oxymoron. I mean,
it's a difficult kind of question to go with because if you're a civilian who has pretty much no actual dog in any fight, you probably go with the people that kind of want to
Not get
be
shot
with
at?
Yeah, but if you're in the military, obviously they're all against the Cylons except for Sharon. So you're in it. It depends on which kind of position you're in. If you're military or if you're a civilian, because if you're a civilian, you're more likely to be turned rather than someone who's in the military.
what about you?
Well, I'm not. I'm a civilian, so it's probably more likely that I would be, but I don't know if I'd be brainwashed enough into thinking to be sympathetic to the Cylons. It's kind of, I don't know.
I am sympathetic to them based on what we've seen in the show, but I would not join Demand Peace from what we've seen of them because they can't criticise violence and then commit it themselves. They're just hypocrites. And if they are that desperate to to communicate with people in charge and discuss this with them rather than trying to do it all as like an underground kind of thing, they're making these pamphlets and they're obviously secretly handing them out and they've been having all these secret meetings surely to plan all this stuff that they've done. By doing that, it makes them look like they've got something to hide, and it would make far more sense that if you wanted some sort of group of people that wanted to be heard would be to do it out in the open and try and speak to the people in charge, openly without having done something fucking stupid to piss them off first. It seems very over the top. I think they're going about it in entirely the wrong way.
And there's a term for taking actions that will help the enemy, and it's called being a collaborator. And that's why all these people are doing it secretly, because nobody's spoken out except right before they blow themselves up or right as they know that they're caught. But nobody's going to be coming out and saying, oh, I'm a member of this movement. No, because that makes you a collaborator, and they know it.
Yeah. But instead of going, if they'd gone about it in the open and just, it only takes like a couple of people just talking to others and say, do you know what, we're not happy with the way this is being done. Would you be interested in sort of a group of us getting together to go and speak to the people in charge and these are the things that we're concerned about and we want them spoken about? That's fine. But setting up some sort of underground movement that's going to try and sabotage things and potentially kill people.
It's almost more that you have to have these prerequisites that there is an ultimate end goal that maybe someone has or a group of people have that are like minds, and seemingly they don't let people in unless it's...
They're failing to occupy the people. Like they're failing to give the people a role. They could be like, start a knitting circle and knit socks for our troops because it's cold in space. Give people something to do and they don't run off and find their own crazy things to do.
Yeah.
And that is something they failed to do.
Yeah, it's just the civilians are like underrepresented in the show. They need them to do something besides be
Totally
freaked by like.
I suppose it's called Battlestar Galactica and not Caprica Fleet Adventures. So.
And Clarissa, that's a good point.
The adventures on the fleet. Dun, dun, dun.
And also,
This week in book club.
Oh, this is the last bone I'm going to throw you guys. You don't need a weatherman to tell you what the wind blows.
I don't know. Anyway, Johnny wants us to get the rankings going. So, I can go first.
Go for it.
Cylon. So, my ranking for this episode was 9 suitcase surprises or 9 #baby blood biology. And my rankings are, my Cylons are Tai, Yahi, and Gata. There we go.
What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? This is a new thing that I want to start. If Johnny's not here, so I could actually
probably
not get beaten for pulling this new little thing out. Because we are shortening these episodes, but I do want to.
You're right, new little thing, and this episode is no shorter, man.
It's probably just that Baltar, no matter what, he's all about that baby.
Okay.
Baltar is reliably screwed in the head. That's what I'm taking away from this episode. That guy, poor Baltar. He's fucked in. Yeah.
That's your big takeaway. What's your ranking and prediction?
Yeah, John, don't say my name unless you want to get beaten. I heard you.
It's like Beetlejuice. I give it 9.8 in lightning flashbacks. And my Cylons are Doc Coddle and Tyrell and Callie.
I think I saw Callie hiding in a vent this episode.
Because of the counterfeit shells. Well, they're not counterfeit, they're just faulty.
Faulty?
Faulty.
Shitty shells.
I'm sorry, Kenzie.
What I'm taking away, always get your shells checked, kids.
Kenzie, this is me being negligent. Can you give me your Cylons again?
Oh, wait. Tai, Yahi, and Gata.
She's firm with those this week. No wavering.
Okay.
Amy, shut up.
So my rating for this week is 9.3. Nanolon infected Gigadix. Because we've got to lower the tone at the end of the episode, haven't we? And
That's 8. Nice.
my Cylons are same as always. Tyrrell, Ellen, and Anders. Yeah.
The one who we haven't seen since episode 6.
Well, there you go. He's still not redeemed himself.
Tyrell Ellen, and who's your third one?
Anders.
Anders.
Starbucks past boy toy.
Yeah, Andrew's just been working on them guns.
Playing some pyramid.
Trying to put Hilo and Apollo to shame.
Anders.
Playing some pyramid.
Well, that's fracking awesome. So,
Johnny, what's your ranking for this episode?
Well, Amy took my Gigadix.
You get tits?
Yes.
I would give a shout out to Lady Laura Dane Starfall. I will give this one a 9.7 placenta bars.
Oh my gosh.
9 point.
9.7.
9.7 placenta bars.
9.7.
I had to give it a point on this one because it's apropos. At least in my own mind, it is. John, what was your ranking, man? Did you give it like three needle dicks or something? Oh. Say it again real quick. Sorry.
Actually, I think Street 9 is the lowest ranking that I've ever given an episode, and it's not because this is a bad episode. I just think that there are a lot that have been better. If I rewatch it another time this week, which I probably will, you know what? I'll bump it up to 9.2 just because of the Jacob's Ladder hospital gurney scene. I will give it 9.2. Where the fuck did that warhead goes?
Where did the warhead go? It's like, where's Waldo?
Chilling some damn where.
Where's warhead?
Where's Warhead?
Gosh, this has been an awesome night. I think we're headed in the right direction. I hope y'all enjoyed it in the chat. So, Jills, do you want to tell anybody where they can find you? If not, if you want to be a recluse, I understand that too.
I guess I'll go first because I usually have the longest speech of the Jills. So you
Don't be excited about it, Tessa.
So you can find me here every Friday. You can find me on Johnny's channel tomorrow. And you can find me on my own channel where on Wednesday we will be talking Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. But we're also still catching up with old episodes of Game of Thrones. From the 2 remaining episodes from Season 6 and all of the ones for Season 7. And we should be going live on the premiere day for Game of Thrones with the final episode of Season 7. And so on and so forth into Season 8. Same time, always, with extra fun people. So, that's all I've got.
Hit them extra fun links up. Press all the crazy buttons. Whatever you want to do, just touch it. Clarissa.
Touch all
Got
the
your
buttons.
Facebook page down there in the descriptions. Do you do stuff? And by the way, check out Handmade by Bobby. Handmade by Bobby. She left us. We'll see if she pops up in the chat being all sassy. But
Yes. And you can catch me here on the Cylon Johns. You can catch me occasionally on Episode Club with Mackenzie Burns. You can find me on Twitter under Kootenai Girl or Thompson Kootenai Girl, and Facebook Clarissa Thompson. Hope to see y'all again soon.
Amy just like puts the pinky up and drinks her little drink. Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm really classy drinking my fucking vodka and raspberry.
We and I are pinky drinkers. Like, it can be the most ghetto shit, but we drink with our pinkies.
Oh yeah, I've already put away a blueberry and lime vodka thing, and I'm on raspberry and lemon now. But damn it, I will still stick that finger out.
Pass blue ribbon.
So I also get tipsy on John's channel on Wednesdays. We're doing season 2 of American Gods. We're doing an episode a week and talk about that amongst other random things that distract us. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and kind of hang around in the geek chat group on Facebook. But that's pretty much it.
Aye, Lord of mercy. Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
Amy, you're awesome. Thank you. Y'all are so excited by the end of this. I can't contain it. I'm feeling the love. Hashtag Gigadicks. John, where can we find you? You know, and all that jazz while I flounder.
Well, as Amy spoke of, Wednesday nights, you can find it on my channel, John St. Baptiste, talking about American Gods. Once season 2 gets done, I guess we'll have to go ahead and talk about season 1. And then maybe we'll just have to talk about the book. Maybe I'll just keep this going as long as I possibly can because anything Neil Gaiman is awesome.
We're going to have Good Omens. We'll have Good Omens at the end of May.
We'll have Good Omens. We shall have Good Omens. Good Omens shall happen.
Yes.
And it's going to be fucking epic. I'm so looking forward to it. I just got finished with finally my track by episode interpretation of the entirety of Game of Thrones, which I hope people enjoy. I put a lot of work into it, and I think it's pretty fracking good. And if you don't, then you can just go bugger yourself.
Back off.
Also, you can find me on Random Things. This coming Tuesday, I will have Sasa K on my channel, and we are going to be talking about Ron Giovanni, and his music and the contribution of his music to Game of Thrones and themes and tracks and how scores affect the way you watch something and the way you think of things. I did a bit of a discussion with our Red Sox fan, or no, with A.U. Packnell. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. 2 men I admire greatly. But
Keep it in your pants, John.
A.U. Packnell and I had a conversation about it. But I'm very much looking forward to talking to Sasa K because she's 10 times the music person that I am. So I feel like I'm like walking in the master's chambers here. And it's going to be good. So anyone who can show up to that, I'll appreciate it.
I'm a master baiter of hooks and tackle. That's about all I'm a master of. I think it's going to be really good. I will be there to check it out. For sure.
Fishing trip, Johnny and I.
Fishing.
Whatever. I don't know what I'm even saying anymore. So, pimping, tripping,
And fishing.
gigadicking, whatever we're doing nowadays. I mean, I don't even know. Hashtag Nanolons. Love all you guys in the chat. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please hit all the buttons down below. The podcast breakdown teaser will be up midweek. I can't keep that crazy voice going on. But tomorrow I'll be double streaming. Come check that out. Ferris. And then we'll have the hashtag Who Deserved It. Yes. And always keep an eye out for the Cylon sympathizers. And we will see you on the next skirmish at the Cylon Johns and Jills.
I do have to ask you before we go off air, John.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
May I watch the Varys stream, or is that something that I should not watch because of what we talked about on your channel earlier today? Because I think that previous stream.
Just blinking.
No, I told him that I would be talking commercials on the next thing, so I would stay away from it if I were you. But on the hashtag they deserve to come check that out, because I don't think we're talking about why people deserve the shit they got, so I don't think we'll be talking about the any spoilerific news. All
right.
So
Thanks, everyone.
So say we are.